number of questions still lay unanswered. One thing was certain, nifty little Joe Theismann was back in the lineup. The scrambler from New Jersey could do it all. But how many of the gaps would he have to fill by himself? Tom Gatewood was back and well on his way to matching the records of great Notre Dame receivers before him. The passing game was there, but what about the depth of the runner? All-America guard Larry DiNardo, number 56, was also back. But who will fill the rest of the empty offensive line? The Fighting Irish had a long road to hoe. Showdown time came on September 19 against the surprisingly powerful Wildcats of Northwestern. Going to his strength, Theismann completed all but one of his passes to Tom Gatewood. The first time they had the ball, the Irish drove for 75 yards, and senior halfback Denny Allen rushed for the first touchdown of the season. Then, behind more strong blocking, Joe Theismann used the outside ground route for the second Irish touchdown, and Notre Dame Rooters were back in the saddle again. But Northwestern scored quickly on an Irish fumble and the running of Barry Pearson. He returned this punt 71 yards and evened up the game. But it was the Irish running attack that won the game. Strong backfield blocking started junior Ed Goulias on his run for a starting position in the blue and gold lineup. In a display of coordinated power, Denny Allen scored 3 times through huge gaps in the line. And Joe Theismann used the same interior blocking to add his share to the grand total of 330 yards on the ground. Northwestern was buried. Theismann completed his only other pass to a back, senior Bill Bars, and victory number 1 came by a convincing 35-14. 1 week later, everyone was nervous again. Purdue. Purdue had beaten Notre Dame for 3 years in a row. Except for Mike Phipps, this was almost the same Purdue team as last year. This was the big one. Ara Persigian knew everything would have to work. The Irish opened with a rocket. Faking magically, Theismann launched a big one to sophomore tight end Mike Creaney, and the rampage was on. Beautiful interior blocking opened still another gaping hole, and Denny Allen galloped in again. Then, with split-second timing, a sight to behold. In one practiced moment, Theismann turns, releases, to Gatewood, a wall of blockers. Touchdown. A rebuilt offensive line had come of age. Mike Martin, Larry DiNardo, Dan Novikov, Gary Koss, and John Dampier gave Theismann plenty of time to hit Tom Gatewood time and again. Gatewood scored his second touchdown on this play-action pass from the 7-yard line. Our ground camera shows the mobile young line fool the defense with moving blocks. Then the fine young receiver from Baltimore lowers his shoulder and sheds a tackle for the score. Purdue tried all kinds of defenses, but Joe Theismann read every one. One drive later, Theismann pinpoints Gatewood in a big crowd. One more move and touchdown, number 3. Before it was over, Gatewood caught 12 passes against the Boilermakers, one less than the record Jim Seymour set in 1966. And Purdue panicked. They used 3 quarterbacks to no avail. The Notre Dame defense forced 6 fumbles and 3 interceptions. Junior Clarence Ellis leaped sky high and stole 1 pass to set up still another Irish touchdown. Then the Notre Dame reserves took over. Larry Parker waded through great blocks and then burned downfield. That was it. Revenge. The Purdue Jinx was beaten, and so was Purdue. 48-0. Victory number 2. The Irish were rolling, and everyone knew it. Victory number 3 broke another jinx, playing Michigan State in Spartan Stadium. The East Lansing mob looked on with amazement as the highly mobilized Irish unleashed their arsenal of runners. Junior Bob Minnick showed them breakaway speed. And senior Bill Barr showed them power as he hammered into the end zone. There was no way for the Spartans to stop the rush, not when Theismann proved he could burn them with a pass. Preseason worries were fast disappearing. When he wasn't passing to Tom Gatewood, Jersey Joe was faking and keeping the ball to run for impressive yardage himself. Bob Minnick scored the first touchdown of his career against Michigan State. The Irish showed awesome balance. Theismann threw occasionally and successfully, but the Michigan State game was won on the ground. The Irish paraded up and down the artificial turf for a whopping 366 yards. Ed Goulias barreled into pay dirt, and Bob Minnick followed right after him. The Notre Dame defense, with co-captain Kelly in on tackle after tackle, scored its second shutout in as many weeks. The Irish, who hadn't won here in 21 years, broke the Spartan Stadium jinx and erased the memories of the famous 10-10 tie of 1966. They wiped out their third Big Ten team, 29-0. Now the Fighting Irish returned home to their beautiful campus at South Bend to prepare for Army. When it first met Army in 1913, Notre Dame had been a little-known team from a tiny campus in the Midwest. The Irish upset the Cadets to begin a great winning tradition. Keeping pace with Notre Dame's spreading football fame was an educational and institutional boom that turned a small Indiana campus into a multi-million-dollar complex of higher learning. Notre Dame and Yale lead all colleges in postgraduate scholarships awarded to student athletes by the NCAA. On October 10, against a much smaller Army team, Notre Dame put all of its hardware on display and steamrolled the Cadets for victory number 4. The powerful Irish defense forced Army into many errors. Jim Wright intercepted a pass. The new offensive line played like it had years of experience, and the Irish deep attack continued to prosper as junior Bob Minnick scored again. But in the romp over Army, only one thing went wrong. All-America Larry DiNardo was injured. But Notre Dame forwards rallied to keep the pressure off Jersey Joe, and the Theismann to Gatewood combo developed into the strongest passing duo in the nation. The balance of the Notre Dame attack was awesome. Strong inside running complemented the passing. After Ed Goulias scored, defensive end Bob Neidert waffled Army's punter for a safety. It typified the aggressive style of the entire Notre Dame defensive unit. The Irish homecoming crowd bore witness to it. Theismann and Gatewood had perfected their act into a science. The Irish were winning big, but the offense wasn't doing it alone. The defense forced turnover after turnover and had 2 shutouts. Number 21, Ralph Stepaniak, intercepted to set up a touchdown. Jersey Joe hit sophomore Mike Creaney as Notre Dame continued to showcase all of its exciting talent. 4 reserves came in and did a job. Sophomore Darryl Dewan helped the Irish roll up more points than anyone had ever scored against Army. 51-10. Victory number 4. Victory number 5 was won the hard way by coming from behind against a nationally ranked power, Missouri. Joe Theismann's run set up Notre Dame's only points in the first half. A record crowd and a national television audience saw Scott Hempel kick a perfect field goal. But Missouri went ahead in the third quarter on a Mike Farmer to Mel Gray pass. Then Jersey Joe turned the game right around again. The next 3 times the Irish had the ball, they scored. A 71-yard drive. Tom Gatewood, touchdown. Once on the right track, the Irish were unstoppable. Theismann pinpointed Gatewood, who now led the nation in reception. Gatewood always had to fight off opponents' best defender, and often he was guarded by 2 and even 3 men. But there were times when Gatewood was covered completely. Theismann could still use his sure-handed backs. On a 4th and 4 situation, Ed Goulias ran a quick out, turned on the speed, and the Irish had topped off a 91-yard drive with a touchdown. Missouri fans were stunned as the Irish relentlessly drove downfield again. Jersey Joe to the swinging gate. The effectiveness of this great passing duo was polished by extra hours of practice. Timing is the thing. Gatewood turns, and the ball is there right on the numbers. The Irish love to play the game, and they love to win. This day, the Irish proved a point to themselves and to millions who watched at home. Notre Dame had comeback power. Victory number 6 saw a spunky Navy team surprise Notre Dame before drowning in a sea of points. Upstart Navy managed to tie at 7-all. Now they had awakened a sleeping giant and filled him with a terrible resolve. Bill Bars punched Notre Dame ahead again. The Navy secondary was no match for the aerial artistry of Joe Theismann. Mike Creaney caught a pass as Gatewood spent a lot of the day as a decoy. Bill Bars added more muscle, and the Irish had another touchdown. As Arrow watched, alert Ralph Stepaniak picked off a tap. 36 busloads of fans from Joe Theismann's hometown were on hand to pay tribute to one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. The South River Roadrunner really gave them a treat on this play as he marked time until Gatewood got clear in the end zone. Another Stepaniak interception gave Theismann another opportunity. This time, Tom Gatewood was unbelievably alone for the touchdown. The Notre Dame defense never relented against the outclassed midshipmen. Co-captain Tim Kelly intercepted. The Irish drove all the way to the 3, and then Dennis Allen slanted over. The rest of the game was played by the talented reserve. Junior John Ciskowski helped the Irish amass 600 yards total offense and equal the record for the most points scored on Navy with a 56-7 win. Victory number 6. Victory number 7 came by a wide margin over the Pitt Panthers, but the Irish needed an explosive finish to pull it off. The Pitt Panthers were the biggest team Notre Dame faced, but they weren't quick enough to stop the Theismann-Gatewood combo. The Irish forwards peeled back the Panthers so Dennis Allen could score. Against the Panthers, Theismann broke 2 passing records set by Notre Dame immortals George Gipp and Terry Hanratty for career total performance and career total offense. Bill Bars shot into the end zone, and to some it appeared that the Irish had a lock on the game. But Notre Dame grudgingly coughed up 2 touchdowns in less than a minute. Tony Esposito got the one that lifted Pitt to a 14-13 lead. Joe Theismann's innate ability to scramble and scramble for a profit was never more clearly illustrated. But the Irish still needed a break. On his own 46, Theismann sent Denny Allen deep over the middle and then lofted a dangerously high pass. The Pitt defenders had plenty of time to get there, but Allen got it. Pitt never recovered from the shot. Theismann ignited another Notre Dame explosion with a pass to Ed Goulia. The regulars, Allen, Greeny, and Goulias, complimenting the great Gatewood, helped make this a complete offensive party. The subs took over. Number 10 sophomore Darryl Dewan and number 35 junior John Ciskowski scored 2 touchdowns. It was a romp, 46-14. Victory number 7 was in the bag. But for the rest of the season, the Irish were not to have it so easy. Back-to-back, 2 powers from the South challenged the mettle of the Irish. The first, a rambling wreck from Georgia Tech. And the game was an old-fashioned Southern duel. The strong Tech defense kept the contest at deadlock for 2 periods, giving Joe Theismann no room to run or throw. Then in the second half, Theismann found Gatewood and loosened up the Tech grip. Striking quickly again, he hit Gatewood for another long gainer, and it looked as though a touchdown was next. But the Tech defense tightened, and Notre Dame had to call in soccer-style kicker Scott Smith. 3 points finally broke the deadlock. Right away, Tech quarterback Ed McShane got it all back with a long bomb over the head of Clarence Ellis and into the arms of Larry Studdard. 7-3, Georgia Tech. The perfect record was on the line, and time was running out. Late in the fourth quarter, keeping cool, Theismann hit Ed Goulias 46 yards away. Finally, the Irish opened the way, and Denny Allen scored. From that point on, the Notre Dame defense was tough. When McShane tried to go to Larry Studdard again, Clarence Ellis intercepted. That was it. The defense had preserved the Notre Dame record with victory number 8 over Georgia Tech, 10-7. The last part of the season put the spotlight on the snarling, defiant, ironclad Irish defense. Gone were All-Americas Mike McCoy and Bob Olson. But in their places were equally zealous men who rebuilt the Irish defense into one of the country's best. Notre Dame's effective pass rush was led by such stars as number 88, Bob Neidert, from Akron, Ohio. Sophomore Greg Marks, number 75 in blue, replaced Mike McCoy at tackle and proved sensational. Playing alongside Marks and helping the Irish to be number 5 against the rush was number 72, Mike Cadiz. Number 85, Walt Podolsky. The rangy, mobile Man Mountain from Liverpool, New York, was fearsome number 4. The linebacking core, number 42 in white, co-captain Tim Gelly and Rick Toman, who blocked this Michigan punt. Both exemplified Irish stopping power. Eric Patton personified the Irish blitz. Few teams survived it. Number 40, Jim Wright, a senior from Sparta, New Jersey, was the 4th linebacking regular, and like the rest, he never let up. The Irish defense took pride in doing everything well. Number 21, Ralph Stepaniak, was brilliant in the secondary, where one mistake could mean points for the enemy. Mike Crotty, number 17 in white, a convert from the offense, developed rapidly into a splendid safety. Clarence Ellis, quickest of all the Irish, always covered the opponent's fastest receiver and made 7 interceptions. The tremendous Irish defense scored 3 shutouts in 1970. It was the Irish defense who got victory number 9 over LSU. The Tigers themselves had the best defense in the nation against the run. In fact, the longest run of the year against them was this one by scrambling Joe Theismann, 26 yards. Against the LSU Tiger rush, passing took a lot of poise. But Joe has a lot of that, and he completed 14 for 149 yards. But neither team could score a single touchdown. Notre Dame got closer, 7 yards out, but LSU knocked the ball loose and buried it for themselves. Still 0-0. The game turned out to be one of the toughest defensive battles of the year. All the fireworks occurred between the 20-yard lines. Time and again, the two teams traded the ball, and the game made stars out of the defenders. Number 85, Walt Putowski, was in the LSU backfield so much, it looked as though he had called the play. He made 5 unassisted tackles. Finally, LSU got a chance at a 24-yard field goal. But Bob Neidert scrubbed it. Still a deadlock. Then, in the last period of play, LSU punted. Clarence Ellis brought it back. The Irish drove still closer and set up their try at a 24-yard field goal. Scott Hempel ready. The snap. And the Irish had 3 points on the board. Then history repeated itself. LSU went for broke and unloaded the bomb. But for the second week in a row, Clarence Ellis leaped up and saved the day. There was no more time. The Irish defense was too strong. Victory number 9. The Irish accepted a bid to play in the Cotton Bowl. Now, just one more victory to go. But behind the towering gates of the Coliseum lay the most difficult obstacles the Irish met all year. One of them was the Trojan team from USC. This was a special rivalry, and all the record books were thrown away. Straight away, the Irish offense rolled downfield and scored first on a Joe Theismann run. But then Southern Cal put on a magic show. In the space of one game, USC receivers began to collect a year's worth of great clutch catches. Powerful Clarence Davis scored twice on end sweeps. In a clutch situation, Trojan Jimmy Jones fired a long one, and Sam Dickerson made an unbelievable grab. Touchdown! Any catches were unusual, since a steady drizzle was falling, but the Irish receivers were just as sure-handed. Theismann hit Gatewood for a long gainer on the next series. Then, under pressure, he hit powerful John Ciskowski, and the Irish were down by only 10 points at the half. The rain was now falling heavily. Then, in the most agonizing 36 seconds of the season, Notre Dame lived through a nightmare. USC recovered an Irish fumble and got set to score. USC dove, fumbled themselves, and for a moment it looked as though Fred Swinson had it. But it slipped loose, and the Trojans scored. Then on the very next series, Theismann fumbled. USC pounced and scored again. 2 easy touchdowns in a half minute of play. Oh, there was a downpour, but the Irish rallied for 2 more touchdowns. One on a pass to Larry Parker. More rain fell in the 4 hours of that afternoon than had fallen in years. Joe Theismann completed an unheard of 33 passes for 526 yards. The game was lost. Notre Dame had proven they could beat everyone and everything but fate. The game was too short. The sky was too dark. Victory number 10 was gone. Can Notre Dame be a national power again in 1971? Joe Theismann and Larry DiNardo will be gone, but Ed Goulias and number 44 All-American Tom Gatewood will return. 6 starters form a solid nucleus on offense. On defense, Notre Dame will have 8 starters back, including number 85 Walt Butowski. The Irish will have the talent for another big year at South Bend.